Anything different on this? Or is it still good?
Got it.
I'll just
Let them, okay, yeah, all right.
That's correct. Yeah. And then, can you attend this event? It's on May 11th, so Wednesday, at 10 o'clock.
Check. I might have to check on that one. May 11th at 10.
Do it.
That's all right, because we got a couple of
So when did the monitors
All right, I'll go with that one. That's easier to remember. Yep.
I established policy.
Love you.
I established policy. So stay in your lane. You need to look at dates later. Hey, just trust me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Oldsmar City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. It is 7 p.m. Please rise.
Our Father in heaven, give us power to clearly discern right from wrong. Allow our words and actions to be governed thereby and by the laws of this land. We ask for your inspiration to strive in our endeavors to serve the public. We also ask that you direct us that above all things we will discharge our duties for the benefit of the people we serve. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. I was about to introduce you and you got ahead of me, but that's okay. All right, we are going to open up the public open forum. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to up to 5 minutes presentation on any subject that is not scheduled for a public hearing. Is there anybody on this side of the room that would like to speak to the council?
No, I'm pushing us to last, but trying to.
Like I'm not.
Dave McDonald, 124 Shore Drive Place in Oldsmar. So first of all, I was going to have a comment tonight about the court case we have here and how it needs to be addressed before we go further with the density, but there's a bigger issue on the table here. And so I noticed we had a meeting April 5th. On March 26th, we had a tragedy in the city, and virtually nothing has been done since that. There's been 2 stop signs put on Bayview, which there were already stop signs there. I'm not so sure what that helped. But, you know, former Mayor Beaverland came up here and gave you a great suggestion about putting a 4-way stop up there. It can be done. It can be done temporarily. I know you don't care what I did or what I know, but I know one thing. You can put a temporary 4-way stop on that road as a temporary fix to this project. I saw an article today with Whit Blanton, he's here today, suggesting the very same thing. Put a 4-way stop up there until we get a permanent fixture up there. This council continues to do nothing. The city manager continues to do nothing to fix the project. And in your words, Councilmember Gannon, we keep kicking the can down the road. Well, unfortunately, that was not a can in the road, March 26th. And we need to do something about it. You need to get off your butts and do something about it. Quit worrying about more important things like building density in the city.
David, do you mind if I interrupt you? I apologize. our city manager, Felicia Donnelly, is gonna give us an update on this.
I
at the end of the
don't,
meeting.
but it's not, that's not the,
I just wanted to keep
okay,
you an
it's
update.
fine, an update today, what's
we're
today?
doing.
What's today? What I'm saying, it should have been done already, Dan. Something should have been done already, temporarily to fix the project. How many other children have to die at that intersection or near it? How many people have to be hit? This could be done. It's insane that we haven't done anything. We just keep kicking the can down the road, and that's not a fix. At least Vice Mayor Buckman said last meeting that this is not acceptable. We're not going to have future plans. We need to do something now. But listen, I have grandson. I walk on these streets. There are children that walk on these streets, and you guys need to be more responsible. You know what? Mayor Seidel found out what happens when he then listens to people, and you guys will too. Thank you.
Anybody on this side of the room? Jason?
Good evening, Council. Jason Sanders, 101 South Bayview Boulevard, with Power Clean Corporation. The mayor said something last week. He made a proclamation about water conservation, and I just wanted to give you an update on that, which is we looked at that after you made that proclamation, and my guys started collecting the water that we use when we wash our hands or any rinsate that comes out, and they've collected over 500 gallons of water now that has not gone to the city's sewer, and that we're going to be cleaning and reclaiming and putting back into our products. So just an update for you for that, something a little light and airy for you. So because of your proclamation, we took a look at that, and that's what we've been doing. So maybe we get another 500 by the time the month's out.
Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Anyone on this side? Yes?
Okay. Amber Stevens, 318 Lafayette Boulevard, and say your name. Oh, do you want to use that? Okay.
Holly and I got this sign and meet us at Sunday at the park to make these signs.
So Holly and I had an idea that we can come together as a community, work together. I've seen a lot of people say, let's get these signs that say, drive like your kids live here. They can be a little bit pricey, so I thought, how about we make our own signs? This is one that Holly designed. And all the children, all the people can come together, bring your own materials, poster boards, Amazon boxes, cut it up, big poster boards, bring paint, color, anything that you can think of, we can share. And let's just make posters together, but make sure you put it on your property so that people will slow down. You want to explain why you did this poster?
Because it means slow down like a turtle.
Turtle power. Anything else you want to say? Yeah, so we're doing this Sunday, April 24th, 1 to 3 o'clock at the stage at Ariel's Park. So I encourage all of you to come and make sure you let the word out so that we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on this side of the room? Yes, come on up.
Hello, Luke Pelt at 309 Oakwood Boulevard. So my wife is probably shocked, like, what is he doing? We just came here to observe. We have high-level jobs. We don't have time to come to city council meetings and to follow the news and whatnot, okay? But we're invested in this community. We're very vested, all right? Louisa from Columbia, all right? Myself from Alabama. It took Oldsmar to bring us together as a family. All right, I don't want to live in Safety Harbor or Dunedin, right? Oldsmar's never going to be Safety Harbor or Dunedin. So just throw it out there. It's right next door. It takes me 5 minutes to get there, okay? On what the gentleman said, if the speed limit's 35, everyone goes 40. We have to cross this road every day. It's dangerous. Just do something. I don't know why you can't do nothing. My neighbor said something about some data analytics had to be run before you can make a decision. It makes no sense. So anyhow, I just want to let the new mayor know we're very fortunate to have you as our mayor, and we're very proud Oldsmar residents. We don't agree with what's being done, and it breaks our heart to know that our neighborhood could be, potentially done in. So just want you to know you have a lot of concerned residents that love this town. So That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Anybody on this side? Yes.
I'm gonna let Eliza speak tonight. Go ahead. Talk to Jared. Stop, talk to Jared, please. You've been asking. What's your name?
Don't forget to state your name and
Yes,
address.
what's your
My
name?
name is Eliza. I live at 301 Polk Boulevard.
Yep.
I want safer walking routes to school.
Why? Why? What do you want to do?
I want to ride my bike to school
And?
and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you hear her? Okay.
Yeah, we could hear.
Thank you.
Good
Yes.
job, Eliza.
Thank you. Anyone else on this side of the room? Yes, come on up.
Hello, Tom Price, 418 Arlington Avenue East. Just came to the meeting tonight, which I do every meeting. The gentleman who said Felicia, our city manager, was not doing a proper job or a good job, I disagree with. I think she's doing fantastic. I think the council does fantastic. I think we're moving in the right directions. New mayor. We're gonna work through it. Unfortunately, there was an accident on St. Pete Drive. It was not, had anything to do with the driver. I've almost been probably killed there 2 or 3 times, but cars not passing. Felicia, thank you. You did put up some more stop signs, and we'll figure that out. However, we need to move forward as a city, and we need to be not divided. And we are divided. My street, Arlington Avenue East, is so divided right now. Well, I have neighbors who don't even speak to each other anymore because of, we have 15,000 people in this city. This is not Los Angeles, New York, California, anywhere. We need to come together as a city. And we have a great city manager. We have a great vice mayor, council members, everybody. We got to come together and we got to stop this. And I don't want to put up with this anymore. Otherwise, I will find another residence outside of Oldsmar. And I love Oldsmar. But we've got great people in the city. But we've got to figure this out. And we've got to be honest with everybody. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else would like to speak?
Besides Suda.
Oh, Linda, come on up. How are you, Linda?
I am well. Linda Norris, 510 Oakwood Boulevard. Okay, I am going to read this because many of you know that when I get emotional, I get very nervous and I start shaking. And I agree that the loss of Leah was a tragedy. And I do believe that Felicia and our city engineers are doing everything that they can and the temporary measures that they're doing. So I too disagree that she's not doing her job. So I'm going to read this and I'm going to get through it. I am here tonight as a citizen of Oldsmar for over 22 years and as a former council member and vice mayor to voice my displeasure of events that occurred at the last council meeting. First, Mayor Saraki, with all due respect, I was appalled when you cut off several times former Mayor Doug Beavis's comments during Citizens' Open Forum. You violated his First Amendment rights, his First Amendment right of freedom of speech. We are not in Russia. We are not in China. We are in the United States of America. Freedom is supposed to mean something here. Sitting on the council for many years alongside you, we often heard things that made us uncomfortable. It was our duty then, and it's still now your duty, to listen to the citizens. Your behavior was rude, and it shows that you do not welcome diversity of thought. You talk about community. You talk about coming together.
And after what I believe was the most toxic campaign season in this town's history, this behavior tears at the fabric of our democracy and divides our community. I know you, and I know you can do better, Dan, so be better. Put some action behind those words of unity, because without action, you're only pandering. Simply said, put your money where your mouth is. Unity. Second, isn't it the point of a public hearing to listen to the public before you discuss the issues and make up your minds? So, Vice Mayor Buckman, with all due respect, you're giving a presentation first before the public got to speak, disrespected not only the process, but us citizens as well. We all know you campaigned on this issue. We know that. But it's still your duty to listen to the public first, before you discuss, before you vote. Having served on previous councils myself, I can tell you that many times that public testimony changed my mind, and comments of other council members during discussion changed my mind. I know you said you cleared it with Tom first, but that doesn't make it right. Cyberbullying, for example, is legal, but it's wrong. Here's another analogy for you. Say you see an ad for an intricately carved copper engraving of President Lincoln at, let's say, $10. You send in your $10, and in return you receive a shiny new penny. Legal? Yes. Right? No. I strongly urge you to learn from this mistake and not to repeat it. Be better. Do better. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else would like to speak before Suda?
Before we disrupt.
All right, Suda, I think, oh, we got one more person, I'm sorry. Yep, come on up.
Barry Sullivan, 300 State Street East, number 326. I just wanted to bring something up in regard to something that comes up later on the City Council agenda. Vice Mayor Buckman mentioned last council meeting about the possibility of having pastors or religious leaders come to help open the city council members or city council meetings in prayer. And I've been organizing the National Day of Prayer, which is coming up in 2.5 weeks. And through this process, I've also talked to the other pastors in the community, pastors that pastor churches here in the community or also live in the community and pastor elsewhere. And we're getting a lot of support for that. So if you all do decide to want to move forward with that, then we could help out with that process to kind of alleviate that burden from all of you having to organize that. So we could put a list of names together and all of that for you to work off of. Would find it an honor to be able to do that. Also just want to remind everybody about the National Day of Prayer, which is coming up. It's our 24th consecutive event here in the city of Oldsmar, 71st national event. It's 2.5 weeks from now. It's Thursday, May the 5th at 6:30. Once again, we're going to be at R.E. Olds Park at the band shell. And just want to invite you all to come out and be a part of that, invite the public as well. It's been mentioned a couple times how divided we are. And the amazing thing about prayer is that it is a great uniter in times of division. So that park's going to be full of people, amazingly, that are on both sides of this issue with density, that are Republicans, that are Democrats, that are independents. We're all coming together to press and to pray for our city, to pray for all of you, to pray for the schools, the churches, for our nation. So hopefully we'll have a good turnout again, and God will respond to our prayers. Amen.
Thank you. Anyone else besides Suda? All right, Suda, you have the floor. Oh, we got one more. I'm sorry. Yeah, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Greg Howard, and I'm a resident of Dunedin. And I'm here and representing the Dunedin Music Society, and I'd like to thank the council members, the city manager, and the people of Dunedin for being wonderful hosts for our 6th annual Pinellas County Festival of Community Bands, which was here a week and a half ago over at R.E. Olds Park. We had over 600 performers. This event ran from noon to about 6 p.m., an estimated audience of about 2,000. Our vendors were ecstatic, and for the first time, we broke even on the festival, thanks to the generosity of the local government in waiving the fees. The Dunedin Music Society is a performing arts organization that hosts, promotes, sponsors, and manages various performing arts. We don't have any theater people right now.
We're talking.
We're talking.
We're talking.
Vice Mayor Buckman was kind enough to share with us the city's plans for the Odeon Theater District. Did I get that right? I know that's a placeholder name. That's not the name of the project. And as a performing arts organization with about, I think right now we have 5 performing groups within our Dunedin Music Society, we want to offer to do everything we can to help you get that done. We have professional management in our organization. We have amateur volunteer groups. We have professional performing ensembles. And we would like to offer the Dunedin Music Society resources as a resource to the City of Dunedin Planning Commission and councils and working groups, whatever it takes to get things like this done. Our theme, our motto, our purpose for existing is connecting local communities with live music. And I've heard some discussion today that happens in Dunedin. It happens in every community where we're involved in the local governance. And out on the street, sometimes things get sloppy and messy. Our contribution is to put on music events, whether it's our Rhythm Kings Jazz Ensemble or the big concert band or a festival with 600 performers. And nobody checks anybody's cards, nobody asks opinions. We come together and we enjoy live music. And again, thank you to the commissioners for helping make that possible. It was Saturday, a week ago, last Saturday. We had an unfortunate parking event where 2 people who visited the festival didn't understand, for some reason, to not park in someone else's yard. And when we're able to come back, we will be sure to make that part of our instructions. But again, thank you for what you're doing and supporting the arts and of any kind, whether it's a band, whether it's a singer or dancers, theater. We feel that that's such an important part of every local community where life happens. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Now
you
I
got
can come
the
up and
floor.
disrupt. Okay. Hi, guys. Sudi Yanis Cologne, 402 Arlington Avenue East. And I am here wearing the hat for Opal Theater. We have brought some special guests with us today, and we are going to bring them in right about now.
Nobody beat us, fry us, and eat us in frequency. We walk the land from swamp to cook. Under the sea, we are the law. We had no troubles, life is our bubbles, I'll let us the car play the harp,
the place play the bass,
and they sounded sharp. Bass play the brass, the truck played the top.
the flute is a
Duke of Soul. All right. Careful, I'll make you dance too. Sing. Know where it's at, and oh, that blowfish blow. All right. I think that lets you know what's coming up, right? Disney's The Little Mermaid. I'll put it over here so video can be seen, or this Saturday, actually, if I don't read from it, I will forget something. This Saturday, April 23rd, our vendors, a barbecue and Uncle Dave's kettle corn from Tampa will be opening at 7 p.m. I have it right here if I just read from the flyer. At the Elizabeth Smith Amphitheater Stage, Ariolds Park. This is a free outdoor event. We're telling you, everybody, that this is dinner and a show. We're saying come out at 7 and have a bite to eat with our vendors, and our show begins at 8 p.m. This is brought to you by our Opal Theater. By the way, Opal is for Oldsmar Performing Artists League, and brought to you by the Friends of the Arts in partnership with the City of Oldsmar. So we hope you can all come out and see our show. Today we have our Ariel, Miss Finn. I'm gonna go by first names only to protect our children. Miss Madison is playing our Flounder. Our King Triton, played by Mr. Zane. Our Prince Eric, played by Prince Eric. Oh, I added that in. Our Scuttle, played by Mr. Max. Our Chef Louis, played by Loki, and Grimsby, played by Fallon. I am here with Miss Jody, who you guys don't get to see very much. She is our music director. And of course, I'm Suda, the director, choreographer, typesetter, designer, printer, costumer, set design, etc., etc. We were actually very honored to have the Boy Scouts do some of our sets this time. They will be announced at our show as one of their Eagle projects. So we've had a lot of help. It's been a great thing. And we would like to invite council, since we're disrupting, down for a photo with our cast, if that would be all right.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And I can turn all my equipment off so I don't disrupt any further than I need to. All right, guys, come over here, turn around. Come here and turn around. There you go. They'll fill in behind you. I'm gonna see your face, I know. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna stand close behind you.
Yep, we're gonna come right up behind you. I wanna see your face. All right. There you go. Eric, go over beside you. There we go. Council, come on in behind him. I've got a photographer. Oh, Jody, you and I should get in this too. Come on. Get over there. All right. Get over there. We'll get on the end there. We'll get on the end.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Click, 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 click. Everybody say, we love Little Mermaid.
We love Little Mermaid.
Under the sea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming out. Great job.
Community, we hope you'll come out and see our show. It is a free event. We tell you to bring your chairs and blankets and no coolers, please, but please participate with our vendors and support them. Thank you very much, everybody. You have a great day.
Thanks, Uda.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak before I close? All right, I am going to close the open forum. We're going to move on to our community minute, and our city clerk, Ann Nixon, will read that for us.
Right, so just an add-on to the Opal Theater Little Mermaid Junior, which is Saturday, April 23rd at 8:00 p.m. at Ariel's Park. Parking has changed for park events. And so from 6 to 10, there's going to be a shuttle pickup at the library. So park at the library, grab a shuttle, pop on over to watch the mermaid because it's going to be a fantastic show. The annual tree giveaway is earlier that Saturday from 9 to 11. So that's Saturday, April 23rd at the Municipal Services Center, and that's on Commerce. Free trees to plant and to help protect our environment, limit of 2 per household, proof of residency required, utility bill, photo ID, tax district, your tax statement. First come, first served, offer only until inventory depleted, species covered, crepe myrtle, red maple, sweet bay magnolia. And you can learn more at experienceoldsmar.com. And then the annual recycling day is this Friday, April 22nd from 8 to noon at the Oldsmar Sports Complex. Free paper shredding, maximum 5 boxes, free electronic and prescription disposal. Use the Tampa Road entry, and there's more information at sustainableoldsmar.com. That's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. Well done. Next item on the agenda is approve of additional new agenda items. We have number 13 and 15. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is awards and recognition. Our presentation of the City Council Award for April 2022 will be done by Vice Mayor Jared Buckman.
First one, I'm wondering if I should use the mic or is my voice loud enough?
You need the mic.
You too, yeah.
Okay. I just know this thing's temperamental sometimes. All right. So for the record, I ran this by my wife first, so I think this should be okay. I'm awarding the first council manager award that I'm presenting here tonight to the Oldsmar Friends of the Arts, Inc., a committee of dedicated individuals that came together to specifically financially support performing arts in Oldsmar. Their mission is to increase the quality and caliber of performances without increased costs to the students, the families, and making participation in one or more programs possible for many kids in our community. They began in 2019 to further their mission through fundraising efforts and became incorporated as a 501c3 charitable organization in March of 2020 with the goal to underwrite the huge costs of popular musical theater productions. They have since helped grow the City of Oldsmar Performing Arts program by assisting young dancers with tuition, costumes, and much more. The organization is looking to the future to assist in supporting a community choir, art in the park festivals, and maybe even getting parents and other adults to perform in plays and musicals. I'll leave that performing to my kids and wife because you do not want to hear me sing. In 2021, in partnership with the City of Oldsmar, they became the producer for the Performing Arts Opal Theater, which are seeing audiences of over 600 guests at the Elizabeth Smith Amphitheater stage at Ari Olds Park. In 2022, the organization had their first yearly fundraising ball, Mardi Gras, next to the Oldsmar Library under the stars with much success, showcasing young performers currently in our Oldsmar Performing Arts program and raising funds needed for the next year. Personally, my girls were able to be part of one of the musicals produced by Oldsmar Friends of the Arts during a time of great struggle and obviously COVID. When we were unsure of the ability to perform safely during COVID, the show went on. It went on with an outstanding participation from children, their families. We had something to look forward to, a collective purpose, and goals during a time of uncertainty. Performance and all the work that's involved is very much a part of this community, and through an organization like Oldsmar Friends of the Arts, the collective can ensure performing arts have longevity in the city of ours. To quote Jane Chu, a former chairperson of the National Endowment for the arts push us to new frontiers of innovation. They open our eyes to new ways of seeing, thinking, and doing. And they are a means for creating a world we all want to live in, where everyone has access to new opportunities and the chance for their dreams to be realized. It is my honor to award the Oldsmar Friends of the Arts Incorporated with the April 22 Council Manager Award. Come on up.
Sorry, guys. You got your moment. We get ours. Come on up, ladies. Up on this side. Thank you.
Do you want to speak? Okay, good.
Take a photo, then we'll speak, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Vice Mayor Buckman, make sure I get my terminology correct. We are very honored. Ladies all disappeared on me because I took the microphone, so that's fine. We had Kelly O'Brien here, who is one of our membership coordinators. We also had Amber Harwood here, who is also helping, has done a lot with our events, and has had Miss Holly in a number of our shows in the past as well. Outside was Miss Teresa Scharf. She wasn't feeling well today, so she chose not to come up in front of the camera, but I know she's a little camera shy. She likes to be on the other side of the camera. And Barbara Drabo is also one of our members who's not here tonight. And Vicki Elkin is another one. We have a 6-board team. We are honored to receive this. We are honored to be recognized for our hard work. We appreciate you thinking of us. You will be hearing so much more about us as the future grows. And actually, please come out and see the show. This has been a great path. And yes, your daughter played a wonderful Fiona as an ogre and the princess in our last show, Shrek. Our next one, we're hoping to be Disney's Moana Jr. So we have a lot of great plans. We are hoping to bring Art in the Park back. That is an event that we used to have years ago that we're hoping to see come back. And we've had a lot of people asking about community choir, and we have a number of people asking about adult theater. So we're just continuously building. Anybody can join us. Go visit our site at ofota.org, and you can find out all about us. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor, Council, City Managers Award. What does it say? I'm missing somebody. Council Manager Award. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2 is presentation of the Business of the Quarter Award for first quarter for 2022. And Vice Mayor Jerry Buckman, you're doing that also.
Okay, there it is. Perfect. Thank you again, Mayor. For over 33 years, Sunbelt Staffing has provided the nation's best healthcare and education professionals to the leading healthcare facilities and school systems throughout the country. To Sunbelt, this is not a business, but an opportunity to give back, as their organization's beliefs are founded in this statement: we make life better for those that make lives better. As a proud member of the Pinellas County community since their inception and part of the Oldsmar community for the past 11 years, Sunbelt continues to shine not only in their business, but also through their strong relationship with the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, investing and volunteering with Oldsmar community organizations, events, and their own Sunbelt families in need. With record growth over the last 3 years and a colleague count now surpassing 200, Sunbelt completed its latest expansion by more than doubling their footprint in this community as they move from their home on Tampa Road to the Nielsen property on Brooker Creek Boulevard, ensuring they will be part of the Pinellas County and Oldsmar communities for the next 10 years. Here tonight representing Sunbelt is Ken Kistner, Vice President. Ken, coming up.
I wasn't expected to speak, but this is great. We're so honored to be a business in the Oldsmar community, and we have been very supportive of the community, but the community has been very supportive back to us. We've had a great relationship with Upper Bay, Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, and we couldn't have actually made our move to Nielsen if it wasn't for them. We had a hard time and really thought for a long time we were gonna have to move out of the Oldsmar area. I think one area that we could really get better at so we can continue to grow this area and bring people in is some affordable housing. I think that's important. We have a hard time bringing people in and hiring people into our business. We're a healthcare organization. We want to give back. We're a nationwide healthcare organization, and it's very important to us to give back to our community. We want to stay in Oldsmar. We want to grow our business in Oldsmar, and we look forward to it. Council members, thank you for this award. We're very honored and appreciative, and we look forward to staying in this community for much, much longer. Thank you.
Sorry. Perfect. Second time perfect.
Congratulations, Ken.
Great job.
Good to see you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Community Redevelopment Agency. We have nothing on the agenda, so we are going to move on to the consent docket, which will be read by our city clerk, Ann Nixon.
Item number 3, approve minutes of the April 5th, 2022 council meeting. Item number 4, accept resignation of John Hill as city-appointed trustee of the Firefighters Pension Board. And item number 5, approve payment to legal counsel for March 2022 legal services.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Oh, I got a motion from,
Motion to approve the consent docket as presented.
okay.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All, council discussion. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Mayor, I have one question.
go
One
ahead.
question. So I'm just, Felicia, I know we talked about this earlier today, and I'm just curious, like, and it was part of my request, but I wanted to make sure we got it on the record. When we have lawsuits and things of that nature that Tom is taking care of for us, when does the insurance kick in and when does it kick in? Does it kick in to cover our cost during the process or after the process, or is this something we need to take off record?
I'm not sure what you're referring
Well, the
to.
insurance policy should cover missteps by our government, correct?
Sometimes, I'll answer that question for you, sometimes.
Okay.
Every complaint that comes into the city is forwarded over to Florida League of Cities for coverage, the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. Sometimes the policy doesn't cover it, and so they'll give a letter back saying that the policy does not cover it.
Okay.
And, but for those items where a policy covers it, they always defend it.
They defend it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just learning more and more. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other council discussion? Okay, with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the city of Oldsmar, and I have asked our city manager, Felicia Donnelly, to handle items 6 and 7.
So item number 6, it's my pleasure to welcome Whit Blanton, the Executive Director of Forward Pinellas. Forward Pinellas requested to do a short presentation of their recent activities. So thank you, Mr. Blanton, for attending tonight.
Thank you very much for having me here today. It's been 3 years, I think, since I've been back to the Oldsmar City Council, so a lot of new faces, and congratulations on you, and nice to see those of you who I remember. I'm the Executive Director of Forward Pinellas, and I have a brief presentation just to give you an update on some of our planning activities, and happy to answer any questions that you might have afterwards. Just a little note for those who may not know, Forward Pinellas is it's 2 legal entities. We are the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and we are the Pinellas Planning Council, which means we have responsibility for countywide land use and redevelopment planning, and we have a responsibility for prioritizing transportation projects that receive federal or state funding. And we work with Pinellas County, we work with FDOT and all the cities, hopefully to build consensus on aligning land use and transportation together. We have a governing board of 13 elected officials. Mayor Cookie Kennedy of Indian Rocks Beach would have been here. She had a conflict tonight. We were in South Pasadena this morning, and she's been traveling around the county with me, and she likes to come to these and talk about some of our work. But I want to talk a little bit about some of the projects we have going on and some of the plans that we're making. First, our vision, our framework is called Advantage Pinellas, and it recognizes that in a compact urban county like ours with 24 cities and an unincorporated county, one of our advantages is our diversity of communities and the great strength that each one of those communities brings. We are planning for about 93,000 more people in Pinellas County by the year 2045. And I guarantee you that's probably a low estimate because I was in St. Petersburg last week and I heard they're planning for 100,000 more in just the city of St. Petersburg. So we're going to have to look at this again. The economy has really transformed some of our projections. Our vision for how we do planning and development, it's hard to put on a graphic, but everything revolves around community, environment, and the economy, and economic opportunity for people. And when we look at our transportation network, we think of it as a sort of a three-legged stool that consists of improving traffic flow and managing our congestion as best we can, creating safer streets, safer trail networks, and I know you had a tragedy here recently, but you're not alone. We have way too many of these all across Pinellas County, and I'll get to that in a moment. And then enhancing transit connections. That's sort of the weak leg of our three-legged stool right now, is because we don't have the funding in place we need for a historically underfunded transit agency. But we're working on that. We have established several strategic initiatives over the years, and one of these has dropped off because we've completed that work for the Gateway Area Master Plan. Mayor Saraki, you might remember when we were doing that some years past. That is in place. We've got interlocal agreements among 4 local governments to advance that plan, so we feel like we can take that off the priority. We are still working on a vision for US 19 because we have not completed the projects, and we're still working to align land use and transportation in that corridor. That's where we're seeing a lot of the growth in Pinellas County, is in the US 19 corridor. Enhancing beach community access is a historic issue in Pinellas County. I'll get to that a little bit more, but we have some initiatives that are improving that. And then our latest one that we introduced just this past year is innovations in target employment and jobs access. And you have a lot of target employment here in Oldsmar. You're an employment-rich community. And one of the things that we're challenged with is that the state legislature continues to make it easier and easier for development, multifamily development, affordable housing development, whatever it is, mixed-use development now, to encroach into our industrial and manufacturing lands. And we've had a policy in place since 2008 to protect those, because once you lose them, you will never get them back, because the price of industrial and manufacturing on a square footage basis is much lower than what people can get for retail or commercial or multifamily. And so that pressure is real. And as a result of that, we've initiated work this year to update our Target Employment Industrial Land Study, or TEALS for short. Again, updating that 2008 study to capture real data from employers that are not only here, but that are not here or chose not to come to Pinellas County, in what they need, because the policy environment and the work environment has changed largely in the last 15 or 20 years since we developed this policy. And we want to be current. We want to understand what those issues are. Last year, we denied a proposed development on the Raytheon property in St. Petersburg, which had been vacant for 20 years, but our policy gave us no real flexibility to allow for mixed-use development there. Since then, the legislature has passed 2 bills. In 2020, House Bill 1339, which allowed for affordable housing to be put on industrial or employment lands, notwithstanding any ordinance to the contrary. It doesn't mean you have to do it if you're a city, but we can't deny that or stop that at a countywide planning level. And St. Pete put together a framework that I think works, and we were working to get that in place with all the local governments so that we had a common frame of reference. Well, this year, the legislature passed Senate Bill 962, which completely obviates what they did a year earlier, and now opens it up to mixed-use development with only 10% affordable housing. So now you have market rate housing competing with affordable. And I know who's probably going to win out on that one. So this is an important study. It'll be wrapped up by September, October of this year, and we will use that to update the county-wide plan and provide technical guidance to local governments as well. And I think we're second in the state in manufacturing jobs. That gets overlooked a lot. People think of tourism and whatnot, but we are right there with Orange County and Miami-Dade as one of the top producers of manufacturing and employment jobs in the state. Another major effort that we've initiated this year is called the Investment Corridor Transition Plan, and it's a recognition that we need to rethink some of our commercial corridors to transition them from a more suburban, automobile-oriented use to a more transit-oriented and more urban character. And we looked at all of our corridors. We did look at State Road 580 through Oldsmar and Dunedin as well. And there is a corridor study underway that FDOT is leading, and you're probably aware of that. But we felt like Alt 19 between Clearwater and St. Petersburg was the best corridor to connect jobs with housing that's affordable and offering potential for redevelopment. The county is interested in regional stormwater in this corridor. Largo's interested in redevelopment, so we have some really strong partnerships in there. And the idea is that we would be introducing limited stop express transit service, not anything too radical, but just the ability to start getting people around this county from point A to point B in something under 2 hours. And right now, if you're waiting on a bus and you're having to transfer, it can take that long or longer. This would tie into the new Sunrunner bus rapid transit line that's under construction, and I know you've served on PSTA when that was approved, and we're real excited about that opening later this year. But we need to build on that. That can't just be St. Pete. We need to start connecting the rest of the county. So this is the first opportunity to really look at that, and we see it as more of a redevelopment plan than a transit plan, because where those limited stops are going to be are redevelopment opportunities, and that's where local connectivity will be important. For the last year or so, our board is also engaged in an exercise in looking at using our waterways for transportation options. And Oldsmar's not out of the question. You're on the top of the bay. So we have put together a vision and a phased implementation plan that really restarts the service that was in Clearwater, Dunedin, and Clearwater Beach with the Clearwater Ferry, and that would operate under the PSTA umbrella, so it'd be more eligible for grants and partnerships than just with a random private operator. We have the Cross Bay Ferry that St. Pete and Tampa, Hillsborough are very excited about, that continues to be successful. The county has contributed funding for that. We'll see if they continue to do that. And this phased implementation plan recognizes that Madeira Beach, Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach are also candidates for expanded service, potentially Indian Rocks Beach as well. And so as we see success, we want to build on that success. And so it'll take some time, but we think we can get this going and have some alternatives to connecting our beach communities. And a lot of this is workers who can't park and they can't afford to drive and they can't be stuck in congestion for an hour during peak season. So this gives an alternative for that. I'd like to highlight just some of the major transportation projects that are either underway or about to be underway throughout the county. All of these in one way or another affect Oldsmar and the area up here. The new Gateway Expressway, which you've seen under construction by the airport, will be complete within about a year, spring of 2023, and they have a performance bond, so they will meet that deadline. That's a new tolled facility that will connect I-275 with 49th Street or the Bayside Bridge and with 118th Avenue. And I think that'll relieve some of our mid-county congestion. Howard Franklin Bridge is under construction to add 2 travel lanes in each direction that will be tolled. They will be priced according to congestion, but it will give people an option to get on those managed toll lanes to get to the airport, to get to downtown, to get to Orlando if that's what they really need to do quickly. And that's a state policy. We didn't really have much say in saying we don't like toll lanes, but they just opened them on I-4, and this would take those here in Pinellas County and through Tampa. We have design underway to extend those toll lanes down to downtown St. Petersburg as well. The bigger issue, though, is the West Shore Interchange, and the governor announced last year $1.3 billion in funding to reconstruct the entire West Shore Interchange, which is the Veterans Expressway, State Road 60, and I-275. And you can do all you want with the Howard Franklin Bridge. If you don't address the West Shore Interchange, it won't be for much good. The great news is I think that's going to really help West Shore and the Gateway area and people get to our county. The bad news is it'll be 6 years worth of construction, so we'll have to deal with that. US 19 is undergoing construction this year from Main Street at the Countryside Mall to Curlew Road. There will be an overpass at Republic Drive, so no more signals. There will be an interchange at Curlew, which is our #1 safety problem in the county with the most crashes and fatalities over the last 5 years. We have fought really hard to build in underpasses and overpasses every half mile with that, so it's not the Wall of China like you see on US 19 going south through Clearwater and Dunedin, or through Pinellas Park. And then the north gap of the Pinellas Trail will open this year. I know that's taken a long time to deal with utilities, but that is, and it took some alignment issues to get resolved. We are excited about the potential connections that that has to the Oldsmar Trail Network, and the county is interested in working with us and with you all to make sure that that's a seamless, safe connection to get to that 75-mile loop that we're building around the county that's part of the Duke Energy Trail. The county also announced about a week ago that they've found common ground on alignment for that south gap that's highlighted, well, it's not on this map, but the south gap down by the Whitney Road area in Largo. So pretty soon we'll have that 75-mile loop all the way around the county. Sunrunner, as I mentioned, is opening in the fall of this year, which will be the area's first federal grant for transit, and it will reduce travel time between downtown and the beach by about 25 minutes. This map on this slide shows the population growth we've had since 2010 in Pinellas County. The darker purple areas are the highest growth areas. So Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, Clearwater, the northeast part of the county is getting a lot of that growth. It shouldn't surprise any of you here that you're seeing that growth. We're also seeing a lot in the Gateway and in downtown St. Petersburg and out on the beach in Clearwater. What's driving this is the quality of life here in Pinellas County, but it's also access to jobs. Affordable housing is a real challenge and a real impediment to sustaining our economy here in the county. So what we're trying to do with transportation is deliver projects that match where that growth is happening. The Tampa Bay Area Regional Transit Authority, or TBARTA, is working on a US 19 regional rapid transit study. And I think you ought to pay close attention to that, because that will take people from State Road 52 or in that vicinity from Pasco County into our Gateway area, but there will be stops at Countryside Mall so that somebody could transfer and go east or west. And that will eventually build into the design of US 19 going north. We have the Duke Energy Trail overpass at Gulf to Bay. That alignment study is underway. That's a very unsafe intersection today. US 19 is being resurfaced from Drew Street to Sunset Point, and that will build in safety improvements on the frontage roads, which right now are a very unsafe place for people, and that's where a lot of the apartments we're seeing are being built along those frontage roads. The Courtney Campbell Causeway Trail is getting an overpass at the Bayshore Trail. That's also a potential gateway into Oldsmar someday. We hope to have that connection made. And then we have the Harn Boulevard overpass at US 19. And I got to tell you, this is one project, that Harn Boulevard overpass. Do things right the first time, because we're spending almost $8 million on that overpass. If we had built it into the US 19 project, it would have been less than $1 million. So that's why we're building in those underpasses and overpasses on the northern section to Curlew Road. Every year, we have a call for projects to establish the priorities that we submit to the Florida Department of Transportation for projects funded in our county. And that's it's a great relationship we have with FDOT. They respect our priority list and they work with us. The only reason they skip over the priority list is a project might not be ready. It might still need to get some permitting or approvals or another phase that needs to happen. But they work with us on funding those phases. So by July of every year, we have to adopt our annual priority list, which builds from the call for projects that we issue over the summer. So when we issue that call for projects, and you've participated with the St. Petersburg Drive Complete Streets project, but we have other candidates for transportation alternatives, for complete streets, and for major multimodal projects that can go up to the cost of a US 19. And we take those applications from the local governments, we review them, we have an impartial committee of technical representatives who don't have a dog in the hunt, who evaluate those with us, and then we recommend those to the board. And last month, the board just approved the Complete Streets projects for this coming year. So I would encourage you to pay attention to those, and that's a good way to get projects funded. And FDOT bills those into the state's 5-year work program, which is adopted every year in June or July. One of the things we do is provide a lot of technical assistance to local governments, and we're sort of trying to manage that demand right now because there's a lot of folks coming to us, and we have a staff of 17. But Sunset Point Trail Crossing is one where the county put in those rectangular rapid flashing beacons on a 4-lane, 40-mile-an-hour road at that trail crossing. And they started getting a lot of complaints from people that cars weren't stopping, pedestrians weren't sure what to do. So we did a before and after study and made some recommendations to the county to modify that and add some additional signage. And so that now we're doing the after study to see if that's making people more comply with the flashing beacons. On the issue of safety, I know it's near and dear to your hearts here in this community. Unfortunately, last year we had 165 people killed on our roadways. That's everybody, people walking, bicycling, in cars. We already have over 30 for the first 3 months. I think it was 32 for the end of March. So the pace is not good. We are double the national average in Pinellas County with our fatality and serious injury rates. And our board has adopted a goal of zero, a vision of 0 deaths, and that's called Safe Streets Pinellas. That's a long-term vision. Our short-term goal is 20% reduction in fatalities and serious injuries over the next 2 years. We know we can meet that because in 2015, we hit that target, but the numbers have gone up since then. So we want to go back to where we were in 2015. And that will take a partnership. And so I want to ask you all, and I've talked to Felicia about this a little bit, to join us in adopting the Safe Streets Pinellas resolution. I know you can't do it at this meeting, but we can bring it forward in another meeting. It doesn't commit you to anything, but working in partnership with us and with FDOT and others to look at demonstration projects, to look at other kinds of measures, and to just be a good partner in helping drive down those fatalities and serious injuries. Last night, Safety Harbor adopted, and that makes 9 local governments, including the county, the city of St. Petersburg. We're still working on Clearwater, but the big C mayors are going to adopt it next week, so that'll take 10 beach communities off the list. And I'm just going around and I'm asking, and I hope we get unanimous approval. Next month, the federal government will be issuing a new program under the bipartisan infrastructure law called Safe Streets for All. It's $6 billion in funding that will go directly to local governments and metropolitan planning organizations like you and us. It does not go to the state. The state is not eligible for those funds. Now, we could ask the state to do something on a state road, but this is money for locals to take advantage of. And I want to put us in the best position to be successful. I think this resolution will help. The fact that we've adopted Vision Zero will help. And we're going to be meeting soon with your staff to talk about how we can apply for projects and work together to bring projects to the city of Oldsmar. I talked about our housing needs. Affordable housing is an important issue because I've had employers who've moved from Oldsmar to Mid-County, and they say, well, we got the space we need, but now we can't recruit workers because it's really hard to get people to the Mid-County area. You're probably hearing that about getting people here. We have a challenge with finding housing that's affordable for the people who are at 80 to 120% of median income. That's police officers, firefighters, nurses, people like that. It's the lower income people as well, but it's really the workforce. And I get really tired of hearing people, well, I'm going to have to go to Pasco or I'm going to have to go to Hernando to find a job, because that just makes the transportation problem worse, because those people are now commuting and causing problems on our roadways. It's best if everybody lived 20 minutes away, but not everybody can do that. So we have a compact for affordable housing that we've adopted with the other 5, I think it's 6 local governments that receive housing assistance in Pinellas County. We are working to expand that, and we would love to have every community be a part of that affordable housing compact. Affordable housing does not mean Section 8 housing. It means housing for all, and it might mean a granny flat. It might mean some other kind of garage apartment. It can mean different things in different contexts. You all were one of our prototypes for what we call the missing middle housing, which is smaller housing on smaller lots with less setbacks that makes it more affordable. And we need to look at things in our codes that make housing unaffordable. So This will be part of our Alt 19 investment corridor work, and we have a lot of ideas that we're trying to bring to the table through this tactical team that we call it of these local governments, and how we can make new housing product come to Pinellas County, because the old housing product is great, but it's unaffordable right now. Just one more couple things. Last month or so, I think it was 2 months ago, our board adopted an equity assessment, and it's just a recognition that when we plan for transportation, when we plan for development, not everybody needs the same thing. Not everybody can drive a car, and we have to meet people where they are. This map shows in yellow all the areas that are equity emphasis areas because they are a high proportion of people who do not have a vehicle available, or they're below median income, or they're elderly, or they have or they're racial minority. And when we look at our traffic crashes, 70% of our crashes occur in what's less than 40% of our area, in those yellow areas. So it's an inequitable situation, and that's why we're turning more of our attention to those areas. The infrastructure law I mentioned is something we're getting ready and poised to take advantage of. It's my job to bring as much of that money to Pinellas County for good. So I want to work with you and your staff to make sure we have Oldsmar positioned as effectively as possible for the benefit of these dollars. It'll be over 5 years. We still don't have a lot of guidance. So next month we'll see the notice of funding opportunity, and we'll know more about that particular program. But there's like 15 new competitive programs. And there's also some formula money, so we will be getting more money just as of right as a large county. But it's the competitive programs where I think most of the new money has been added. And that's it. So thank you very much for your time. I hope I didn't take up too much, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Any questions, Council? Andrew, Councilmember Knapp, would you go first?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. It was great. I did notice one little bullet on one of the last slides there was safety that I was curious if you could expand upon. Was you had something about a speed management pilot program. Could you share what that is?
Yeah, I usually mention that, and I forgot this time. The Florida Department of Transportation did a pilot program on the Courtney Campbell Causeway because they were having some really serious crashes that were shutting down that corridor. And they found that the average speed was approaching almost 70 miles an hour. It's 55 or 60. I think it's 60 for most of the roadway. And so what they did is they used Bluetooth and social media to send messages to cars traveling along the Courtney Campbell Causeway that when they, hopefully not while driving, but when they opened up their phone, there would be a message pop up just saying that speeding carries a $165 fine on the Courtney Campbell Causeway. And that's all it did. So it wasn't tracking anybody's location or anything like that. We liked that idea. They used that and they did surveys and they reinforced it with law enforcement. And they have now measured the after effects. After 3 months of continuing messaging, they're getting the speeds closer to 55 miles an hour on average. Doesn't mean people aren't still speeding, but it's making people more aware of their surroundings. And the challenge we have is that when you come off Howard Franklin or Gandy or Courtney Campbell or Bayside Bridge, you're going 75 or 70 and you're pretty comfortable doing that. Well, now you're in a 45 mile an hour speed zone. And I see it every day on Gulf to Bay. People aren't going 45 miles an hour. So we're in the process of identifying 3 more pilot corridors that we would look at to deploy similar types of messages and speed management techniques and follow that up with some partnership with law enforcement just to warn people, if nothing else, but maybe issue tickets over time.
It's kind of like a Big Brother is watching.
Well, it's, it's using the technology we have available to address a serious issue. I know there's a lot of pushback over red light cameras and speed cameras. And so we're not going there yet, but we're going to test it out and see how it works and see if we can start having an effect. The legislature did consider a bill in the session that got through the Senate, but not the House, that would have enabled school districts to have speed management to enforce school zones at 15 miles an hour. And that would have enabled them, if they opted in, to issue tickets using that technology. It might come back next year. We're certainly eager to see and make that an option. Whether Pinellas County School District would make use of it or not, I don't know.
You said that went through the House and not the Senate? Or
The Senate, not the other way around. The House, it didn't advance, but the Senate supported it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming tonight. I hope we can get a copy of your presentation.
Absolutely.
I hope tonight to be appointed as the Oldsmar representative to the Forward Pinellas School Transportation Safety
Oh,
Committee.
great.
Can you tell us more about that committee specifically, and then maybe just touch on some of the other committees?
Sure. The
Advisory boards?
The School Transportation Safety Committee meets periodically to address issues related to safe routes to schools and other similar issues. Passing school buses that are stopped on the road is a chronic problem that we hear about quite a bit. It's a committee comprised of law enforcement, of school district personnel, elected officials such as yourself, and technical staff. It's one of our more robust committees, I would say, so I think it would be great for you to join that. We have a technical advisory committee comprised of planners and engineers who deal with transportation issues. We have a citizens advisory committee and a bicycle pedestrian advisory committee. And we have vacancies for the bicycle pedestrian and citizens advisory committee, and we really need North County representatives. So we have at-large seats and we have area seats, and the at-large seats would be great.
Yeah.
So if anybody in the audience or watching on TV has an interest, it's one day a month, and I think you'll be enlightened, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll be able to provide input on some of the projects that we show here.
How is that input carried from the committees to, or advisory board, depending on which one, to the actual Forward Pinellas board? How is
Our board listens to the committee. So there's a committee recommendation on every board action item, depending on which committee is relevant. And we have endorsed, well, first of all, the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit in school zones came out of the School Transportation Safety Committee, because it was a hodgepodge. Some were 20, some were 15. And I think Mayor Bajowski in Dunedin was on the committee back in the day, and she claims credit for that. I wasn't here, so I don't know. But if you know Mayor Bajowski, you let her run with that credit. And so we got that uniformly throughout Pinellas County. So that was just an example.
How can Forward Pinellas help us as a city work toward and obtain funding and the planning and go through the process for safe routes to school?
Well, Safe Routes to School is a program at the federal level. The state suspended it for a while, but now they're coming back to it now that the federal government's putting some money in. And it's a decision made in Tallahassee, but the recommendations come through the districts, and the districts listen to the MPOs. So if you all want to work with us to develop a plan for Safe Routes to School, we'll work with your staff to advance that plan. We can provide consulting support for it. Depending on the level of detail and the amount of work you want to put into it, it could be a funding partnership where we could kick in some money, or we could fully fund it. I mean, that's a conversation we would need to have. And it's a perfect example of why you want to get positioned for this federal funding, because they are really emphasizing safe routes to school and safe routes to transit in the bipartisan infrastructure law.
When did that notice come out, you said?
It will be issued in May, so we haven't seen it yet. And then I assume when the notice comes out, we'll have probably 3 months to respond. But if we don't do it this year, or we're not successful this year, we have 4 more years of that program with significant amounts of money if Congress continues to authorize the funds.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My questions were answered. Nothing from me.
No, great
All right.
presentation, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Wood.
So thank you so much for coming out. Great presentation. One thing I want to mention on the PSTA board, the water transportation ferry, big talk about electric ferries. I think you're aware of that. That looks really interesting, and I hope that gets passed. And then the other thing, I was on a presentation last week for safe routes to school. Our city clerk sent a link, and I joined in right when it started. And it's very interesting, and I think that's something for our future we need to be involved with.
Right.
And then the last thing is the affordable housing. Off the record, I'd like to speak with you on that at another time.
Absolutely,
I
anytime.
would like to learn more about that.
Okay.
I got some ideas I'd like to share with you.
Very good.
And again, thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We'll try not to make it 3 years next time.
Yes. Yeah.
Please.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wood.
All right.
Okay, item number 7. So John Hauser, come on up. John Hauser, CPA, partner with the independent auditing firm Wells, Hauser, and Schnotzel, will present the highlights of the annual comprehensive financial report and the results of the city's annual audit for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021. I would like to thank all of the Administrative Services Finance Division for their hard work and dedication throughout the year, ensuring a successful audit, with special recognition to Amy Ratliff, who is in the audience, Accounting Administrator, for her lead role in preparing the annual comprehensive financial report. I'd also like to thank Mr. Hauser for completing the city audit in a professional and expedient manner.
Thank you, City Manager Donnelly. Good evening, everyone. Included in your council packets is the act for the annual comprehensive financial report, as well as this two-page required communication. The city implemented no new accounting policies, and the existing policies were not changed during the year. We're pleased to report we had no disagreements with management. We were provided all our requested information and documentation, and all our inquiries were responded to adequately and timely. We proposed no audit adjustments. There were adjustments provided by the city staff. FRS comes out late with their pension information, and in the government-wide statements, we recognize the liability and deferred inflows and outflows for those pension-related items, so that kind of holds up those journal entries until after the books are really soft-closed, we'll call it. So we've completed our audit for September 30, 2021. Almost 6 months past that time now, so this is ancient history almost. And we have our auditor's report dated March 12th, 2022. It's page 1 in the bound report. We expressed an unmodified opinion on the financial statements of the city. Other reports are in the very back of the document, starting on page 127. We have issued our report on internal control and compliance, and we noted no instances of non-compliance, nor any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control. Page 128 is the report on each major state project and internal control over compliance with the state single audit. The city was a recipient of grant funds from FDOT used for the Douglas Road improvements, and that was subject to the state single audit. We noted no instances of non-compliance. Page 131 is the report required by the Auditor General, our management letter, and we had no reportable items in that report either. Lastly, the rules of the Auditor General require a report pertaining to the compliance with your investment policy, and we saw no instances of non-compliance with the investment policy. So those are the reports, a lot of reports in there, but all good reports. I'd like to focus on the government-wide statements. They were page 17 and 18. The statement of net position, it reflects all the long-term assets and liabilities of the city, and the total assets increased about $8 million or 6% over the previous year. Increases were noted in cash of $6.4 million, due from other governments, receivables for grants, about $675. Capital assets increased $440,000, and the fire net pension asset, not liability, was increased almost $1 million. That's primarily from the investment returns that were recognized in that fiscal year ended September 30, 21. Decreases were noted in some receivables and prepaids and deferred outflows related to the pension and OPEB obligations. Your total liabilities increased about $2.3 million or 13%. One of the bigger items there is called Unearned Revenue, and that's from the ARPA funds that were received right towards the end of the year, and they had not been expended, so they're shown as unearned revenue. They'll be expended in the coming fiscal year. And the deferred inflows for pension and OPEB increased about 1.7. Decreases were in accounts payable, retainages, accrued items of 1.2, and that's from completion of capital projects. The net pension and OPEB liabilities, still a liability, but they did decrease about $1.4 million once again due to the returns on investments. No other significant decreases. Long-term debt did go down about $630,000. You paid off one state revolving loan, rolled two of the loans into new financing, and also continued to draw on the Harbor Palms infrastructure debt for that project. So the total net position, assets minus your liabilities, increased about $5.5 million, or about 4.8%. Invested in capital assets increased 1.1. Restricted net position increased 2.3 million, and unrestricted increased 2.1. The unrestricted is what's available for appropriation or expenditure. In the governmental activities, that's 3.5 million, and equates to about a little less than 3 months of expenditures. It's an increase from the prior year. It was about 2.6 months. And the average over the last 11 years has been as high as 4.5. So it's down a little bit from the average. The unrestricted net position in the business type activities is 16.4 million and equates to 18.79 months, and that's an improvement over the prior year of 16.87. Over the last 11 years, it's averaged 9.2. So you've had rate increases in the enterprise funds to cover the cost of those operations and to build up funds for future improvements. So that unrestricted portion has been increasing. You do have a fund balance policy. In the general fund, you're going to maintain an unassigned fund balance equivalent to 15% of the next budgeted year's expenditures. It was 21.97, so you're far in excess of that at 9/30/21, and that requirement was met. The page 18 is the statement of activities. And this takes the expenses on a departmental basis, then offsets those expenses with departmental charges for services, operating and capital grants for both the governmental and the water and sewer business type activities. The governmental expenses were pretty similar, decreased about 54,000. Those expenses were offset by program revenues, so the net cost of general government activities was a little over $10 million. And that was covered by the general revenues, your taxes and franchise fees, et cetera. They were 13.6, so overall about a $3.5 million increase in net position in the governmental funds. As I said, the business type activities are self-supporting. The expenses were covered in excess by $2 million for the charges for services and capital grants and operating grants. So a little over $2 million in net increase in position there. There's a lot of information in this annual comprehensive financial report. The management's discussion and analysis is a good read to kind of get a good overview of the city and its current and future prospects. The notes to the financial statements give a lot more information on some of the numbers that I just bored you all with. And then there's more detailed statements, combining statements in the back, as well as the statistical tables with 10 years of historical information that provide a good, see how you've been doing over the years. I too would like to thank the staff, Amy and Garrett here tonight, for their help in completing the audit. We started in November, we finished in March. So it was a long process, and I'm sure grueling for all the staff. But if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them now.
All right, any questions from anybody?
No, sir.
Any comments?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you so much, John. Wonderful
Okay.
job as always. Thank you so much for your hard work and the city staff. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 8, presentation of Arbor Day Proclamation.
Mayor,
and
point of order.
Pardon me?
There was a recommended motion for that last agenda item?
It would be a
Yes,
request to
to
accept
accept
it.
it.
Accept it.
Sure, thank you, Councilmember. Yes, so I would need a motion to accept the annual audit financial year ending September 30th, 2021.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any other comments? Motion passes. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item number 8, presentation of Arbor Day proclamation by Councilmember Katie Gannon.
Thank you. I'll read it up here, Chip, so you don't have to stand down there the whole time. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, they increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Katie Gannon, on behalf of Dan Saraki, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim April 29, 2022 as Arbor Day in the City of Oldsmar, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden hearts and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 19th day of April, 2022. And everybody has an opportunity to do this at the tree giveaway. I am pleased to present this proclamation to Chip, our Leisure Services Director. I'm sure there's a photo coming soon, Garrett.
The guy without social media, the job of taking the pictures. Perfect.
Thank you, Councilmember Gannon. Great job. Item number 9 is presentation of Drinking Water Week proclamation, and that will be presented by Councilmember Andrew Knapp.
Take a walk, take a walk.
Thanks for everybody who's still watch the rest of the meeting. I'm going to present the Drinking Water Week proclamation. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates, economic growth and diversity, productivity, and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend. And whereas each citizen of our city is called upon to help protect our source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water. Now, therefore, I, Councilmember Andrew Knapp, on behalf of Dan Saraki, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through 7th, 2022 as Drinking Water Week in the City of Oldsmar, and call upon all citizens and businesses to help protect our precious resource. Dated this 19th day of April, 2022. And Daniel Simpson, Public Works Director, and John Ajan, Assistant Public Works Director, come on up.
some tips on this. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember Knapp, for that wonderful presentation. All right, we're going to move on to City Attorney, and Tom Trask will handle item number 10.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 10 is a public hearing for the first reading of ordinance 2022-05. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2022-05, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, to provide the definition for secondary fronts for corner lot properties in Section 2.1 of Article 2 of the City of Oldsmar's Land Development Code, and in Section 2.1 of Article 2 of the City of Oldsmar's Town Center Development Code, to include provisions for 6-foot fences within defined secondary fronts for corner lot properties in Section 5.1.7 of Article 5 of the City of Oldsmar's Land Development Code, providing for an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2022-05 by title only. There have been no changes since you authorized me at the March 22nd meeting to prepare the ordinance for the council's consideration. It just follows the staff direction that you received at that meeting.
Thank you. Are there any city manager's remarks?
No.
Do we have any staff presentation?
No.
Okay, then I am going to open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on this item? With that, I am going to close the public hearing. I would need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Do we have any council discussion? All right, no council discussion. And roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Buckman?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2022-05, amending the City of Oldsmar Code to provide the definition for secondary fronts for corner lot properties, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
I need one of those buttons. That was easy.
Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tom, for that. City Manager. City Manager, you said you would like to speak on an update.
I would like to give a brief update about our efforts pertaining to the Bayview and St. Petersburg Drive intersection. So prior to the fatality, as you all are aware, we did review all crash reports in the prior 8 years. We did do some intersection improvements prior to the fatality that include moving the stop bar closer to the crosswalk, help with site visibility. We installed cross traffic does not stop signs on Bayview. We evaluated and eliminated several site visibility issues. Some of the short-term actions that we have completed after the fatality include the following. We added stop signs in the median to highlight the stop sign. We reviewed further site visibility issues. We have reviewed the crash report data from the March 2022 fatality. We are waiting for the results of the major accident investigation from law enforcement. We have been working closely and negotiated a work order with Kemley Horn, who is our engineer of record, to provide professional services in the amount of $15,000 to evaluate the intersection. That evaluation will include a stop sign warrant analysis for the 4-way stop sign. It'll include a speed study for the intersection. It also includes the evaluation of recommended improvements to be applied in the interim before we get a roundabout installed. So we expect that work order to be, the results to be rendered to us in about 3 weeks. We also have been working closely with Pinellas County. Pinellas County actually is coming out tomorrow to install flashing beacons on top of the stop signs to add some more visibility. Pinellas County is coming, they have them in stock, so they'll be installing them. So after, we're gonna continue also to work with private property owners to eliminate site visibility issues. So these are some of the short-term actions that we've already taken for this intersection. Some of the long-term solutions that we'll be proposing or are recommending is that to accelerate the schedule for the roundabout in the budget discussions that are coming up. We also have already, as Mr. Blanton alluded to, I had a in-depth conversation with Forward Pinellas to talk about future funding efforts, including Safe Routes to School, but also to implement a downtown mobility study. Some of our stop signs have been placed in the past that didn't necessarily hit warrants. We do have some other areas, and we're looking at different places where we do have some concerns. So the downtown mobility study should encompass not just the CRA and not just one intersection, but how the traffic circulates and circulates as a comprehensive study. So the study area would include everything from Mobley Bayou South, that terminus of Shore Drive, all the way to St. Petersburg Drive and Bayview, so it would encompass an entire area so we can evaluate the circulation. So I'm working with Forward Pinellas to try to expedite something there. We also will be pursuing a complete street grant from the intersection of St. Petersburg Drive and Bayview to the west intersection of St. Petersburg Drive and 580. So the Complete Streets project covers part of St. Petersburg Drive, but doesn't cover all of it. So we will be pursuing kind of the other portion of that. So the entire roadway would be a complete street from St. Petersburg Drive, from the terminus at Tampa Road to the terminus at 580. We also are going to be pursuing a Safe Routes to School grant to look at the overall improvements for all of Oldsmar Elementary. So it's not just in the CRA, and it's not just on this side. We have children that actually live on the other side of 580. So we'll be looking at the entire Safe Routes to School for the entire school. So those are the things that we'll be talking about further. So I just wanted to provide a brief update to you all. So do you have any questions?
Councilmember Gannon, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, to the extent you're able to answer, what does it mean to, you said install signage or traffic control devices without warrants? What does warrants mean?
So a warrant study, and Daniel can help me with this, but as Daniel talked to at his last, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices is the federal guidance that determines how traffic control is applied at all traffic locations in the United States. And really the reason is so that when you're driving here, it's the same and intuitive as if you're driving in another state or another location. So there's very specific studies that we look at the data to determine what kind of traffic control is applied to any given situation, whether or not that is a two-way stop sign or a yield stop sign or a four-way stop sign. So, it's data-based. And so that's why we've asked Kimley Horn to take a look at that, to determine what kind of traffic control would be applied at a given intersection. Daniel, do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, that was pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Unless you
want his job?
What?
Do you want his job?
I'm not an engineer.
Follow-up question. So is Kimley Horn going to help us identify those areas where we have traffic control devices installed without warrants? Or do we already know that information?
So we don't. So then that's a different study.
Okay.
So Kimley Horn for $15,000 is just looking at that intersection.
Right.
To see if we're looking at three parts of that. So the first is to look at a speed study on St. Pete Drive to actually get speed indication.
Right.
And then the other part is to look at traffic counts and determine if a four-way stop or any other stop sign configuration, we already have two on there, so really a four-way stop would be warranted. And then the third thing that they're looking at is, well, what can we do to the intersection while we are waiting for the construction of a roundabout?
Got it.
So does that answer your question?
Yes.
But it didn't answer the question about the downtown mobility study.
Right, as to downtown
So
mobility.
the downtown mobility study that, I'm talking to Forward Pinellas and the county to try to look at different funding sources for that. That will look at that entire area to identify where you need traffic control based on the traffic volume and the speed and the traffic counts of all those areas. So we'll find out in that process where we have traffic control devices that aren't appropriate for any intersection during that process.
Okay. And will that, during that process, will they also help us understand where some additional signage or beacons or whatever might be recommended could go or should go, or?
Yes, absolutely. So they'll also be looking at, traffic calming. As part of that, we would like that. That would be part of the scope because, we do have some documented, we're doing directed patrols based on, stealth. We put out the traffic cameras and we pick up at what we can tell what time you're speeding, how fast you're going, how many vehicles are. And then so we follow that up with some enforcement, but we will continue to look at that as a comprehensive of the neighborhood instead of kind of one-off, one by one.
Right, so that we don't end up with sort of like this, I call it like the Sim City approach, like we did with playgrounds for a while, where we saw a problem and then dropped a solution that wasn't necessarily part of a larger plan.
Correct.
Okay.
And then some of those things, so if a street intersection, so some streets won't meet the warrants for necessarily like putting a stop sign in the place, but it may meet the warrants or the data may show that we need some sort of traffic calming device there. So, there is a pretty robust list of different traffic calming devices. So for instance, people, I think, immediately go to, we need a speed bump. Well, there's all sorts of alternatives to speed bumps.
Right.
From, even raised intersection tables that there's bulb outs
asked me about speed tables. I was going to bring that up.
And chicanes, and the way that you can actually divert traffic so that it's not a straight shot, that are all on-street parking is another thing. There's all sorts of proven techniques to actually slow down traffic. So traffic calming doesn't equal a speed bump. So this study would look at all of that kind of comprehensively. Because the other thing is that when you put up a stop sign that's not warranted in one place, that may deflect or reroute traffic unintentionally to another road.
Right. I was talking to Daniel, and I learned actually that putting a stop sign can sometimes increase speeding because people will stop at the stop sign and then speed up to make up for lost time at the stop sign. And Amber, who was here with Holly, who made the turtle sign, she sees that a lot on Lafayette, where I live, a couple doors down from her. So does Jill Neiman, who lives on the corner there. She came to the previous meeting with her kids as well. And I didn't know that, and so it's hard because people ask, well, why can't we just do this? Or why can't we just, put something there? And there's consequences to each of those types of decisions that I think it sounds like we are analyzing.
That's correct.
Anything else?
No.
Councilmember Knapp, you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't.
Anyone else?
Nothing for me.
Felicia, thank you so much.
All right.
Great update. We needed that. Thank you so much.
My
Really,
pleasure.
we really did. City Clerk.
Okay, at the April 5th meeting, I was surprised by the interruption during the public hearing. This is the first such interruption in my time as city clerk. I was not prepared, and I was too slow to stop the timer. The result was the freedom of speech was breached for 2 Oldsmar residents. One was the reader of a letter, and the other its author. I have privately apologized to Doug Beavis and have taken steps to make amends. The letter is attached to the minutes as a permanent record. As an interruption of this nature happens again, then I will immediately reset the clock for the original time. Earlier tonight, when David McDonald was interrupted, I stopped the timer and then restarted it after the lost time was recaptured. To Doug Beavis, Miss Tony, and the Oldsmar community, I'm sorry. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. City Council, item number 11, discuss invocations. Vice Mayor Jared Buckman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. In my campaign time, I spent a lot of time going to other councils. What else do they do to bring communities together? And this is one of those simple things that I saw. Tom, you do a great job with the invocations. It's nothing against you, but I felt having the local community leaders, religious leaders come in, bring that back to their constituents, to their people in the church, might get more people involved with the local city government, understand what's going on with the city. So it's one of the early ideas of a concept to start to bring this community back together.
Okay.
I've had conversations with Bill, obviously, about that process. I've had conversations with the city manager, Felicia, about how do we do this at minimal or no cost. And I think we've found the solution. I think what we need to do is figure out, is this just for our council meetings, or do we want to extend this to city events? Obviously, Easter might be challenging to bring somebody out, but for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, those types of things. So it's just something I wanted to get on the agenda and discuss and figure out how we can move forward with this.
Okay. Anybody would like to add to that? Any ideas or thoughts?
Yeah, a couple. Mayor, if I may.
Sure, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I just learned that Barry and Tracy might be willing to help orchestrate and organize that. That was one of my questions, that, who would it fall to determine, who's coming to this meeting or who's going to that meeting, or what happens if nobody comes or there's a conflict, or, that kind of thing. But I think it's fantastic that Barry and it sounds like a couple of people have volunteered to organize the logistical part of it. I didn't know if that was going to fall to, city staff or Kathy or Ann to coordinate and make sure somebody was going to come, or so I was really happy to see the Sullivan name pop up. But I think it's a good idea. I think we should start with our council meetings. I'm curious as to why there would be a cost.
A labor cost to coordinate, a city cost of the staff's time to put this together was the one concern.
Wait,
But
how do you mean?
Felicia had brought up to me, as long as it didn't take away from other duties or
Okay,
responsibilities of
gotcha.
our
As long as
staff.
it didn't take away from.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure of that. And then I'm sure that there would be a regular kind of rotation of different faiths or different denominations and different viewpoints. Perhaps, like you mentioned, at different events, there might be a more appropriate pastor or someone local. I hope that they would, maybe bring different members of their congregation. I'd love to, meet more people, like you said, have more people come to the meetings. But I have no problem exploring it.
Councilmember Knapp? Anything?
Works for me.
All right.
I think we always have Tom as a backup,
Yes,
so
right.
Yeah.
even if the logistics get a little rocky at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. If we didn't have somebody scheduled for a certain night, I think Tom would be willing to assist us. So certainly worth exploring.
Yep.
Sounds pretty good on the fly. We could-
And I just want to add one thing is, I had my grandson do it, and the only reason why I had to do it was because, have him do it, is he's for some reason, he's really into reading. He's really into church. I mean, he really loves going to church. So I asked him to do that for us, and, I think it's a great idea that we have someone else who's willing to do it. Barry and your wife, that'd be wonderful. And then, as Councilman Graber said, if it doesn't work out, Tom, you can fill in. I think it's a winner. All right. Do we need a motion for that or anything, or
Maybe just a consensus that.
just a
could have,
consensus? Just a
That's
consensus?
sufficient.
Yep,
That's no problem.
we all say okay. All right. So we're gonna move on. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We're gonna move on to item 12, and I'm gonna let Felicia Donnelly give us her update on what happened with that.
I spoke with the majority of the council for considering or moving or canceling the July 5th meeting. And so the majority of the council members felt that canceling the meeting was appropriate or okay.
Thank you. And then what we'll do is, as we have in the past, we'll just, might have to, the meeting before be longer meeting to make sure that city staff, make sure we get all the, everything done for city staff. Thank you. All right, item 13, you want to handle that
Do you
too?
want to pick a date?
Well, that would be July,
Whether we're canceling it.
Well, we weren't gonna move it, we were gonna simply cancel it,
we're just
right?
gonna cancel it.
Okay.
So we're just gonna cancel July 5th, and then city staff will handle adding to the agenda of the other meetings if needed.
Okay, all right. I just have a different, in my packet, it's a little bit different than that. So
Okay.
they had 3 dates that you wanted to choose from. I was not aware of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then item 13, reschedule the capital improvement. Felicia, you want to handle that?
Mayor, I checked with each council member, and May 25th is still an acceptable date for the capital improvement plan work session.
Wonderful.
I would move to reschedule the capital improvement plan work session to May 25th, 2022 at 2 PM right here at council chamber.
Okay, we have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other council discussion?
Can I just mention,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
on vacation that week, and I let everyone know that I'm on vacation that week. It's been a planned vacation for the past year. So if you need an attorney there, I will need to appoint someone else to be there. So I guess I'll get with Felicia on that as to whether or not you need another lawyer there for that meeting. But I just want to let you know I can't be there.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are moving up to item 14, schedule operational budget. Felicia, would you please?
Yes, Mayor. So I spoke with each council member, and it looks like Wednesday, August the 3rd, 2022 at 2 PM would accommodate.
Wonderful. I am looking for a motion to schedule the operation budget work session for August 3rd.
So moved.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor, any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nothing opposed, motion passes. Item 15, appoint Councilmember Gannon as the Oldsmeier representative to the Forward Pinellas School Transportation Safety Committee. Forward Pinellas School Transportation Safety Committee, this position has not been, this has been vacant for approximately 5 years. And I was working with Felicia and Ann today. I don't even remember somebody being, but Ann did say that Gabby was on there, and then we couldn't find somebody 5 years ago. So I'm gonna open this up for discussion. Anybody wanna say anything about this?
We might need a motion
We need a
before
motion.
discussion.
yeah.
I move to appoint Councilmember Gannon as the Oldsmar representative to the Forward Pinellas School Transportation Safety Committee.
All right, I have a motion.
That motion.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying, no,
Now
more
you're
bad discussion. All right,
Just a little bit of background. Whit gave some background on what the School Transportation Safety Committee works on. But some of the things that I noticed, for example, that they worked on was the walking school bus initiative, the motorist passing buses, the hazardous walking conditions was on their most recent agenda. For example, they're gonna update the report countywide on that by July 2022. So I'm really eager to get on the committee so that I can give some input at the June meeting. And then they also, work with the legislature and try to defeat, statutory provisions or potential laws to, decrease funding for things like rapid flashing beacons that are, in place but non-compliant with current laws, but cities can't retrofit them because they don't have the funding to do so, kind of trying to fight on all sides on these issues. So I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve our community in this capacity.
any other comments?
I have
go ahead.
one comment, and
Yes,
it's
Vice
not
Mayor.
kind of related to this, but are there any other vacancies that we're not aware of that we should be partaking in other boards that help the community, or is this the only one?
I was on the website today and checking for just that. I didn't see any. The Citizens Advisory Committee, we wouldn't be able to serve on because we're elected officials. I think Katie got the idea for this one because we could. And then the other one, I think we had potentially would be the board, but all those positions are filled right now.
Are you asking maybe on a broader scale even if there's anything we're missing out on, or specifically Forward Pinellas?
I've seen all the boards, the PSTA, all the other boards that we serve on, and I'm just wondering if there's anything else that we might be missing that we could leverage right now. If not, great. But
Well, there is a vacancy on the Juvenile Welfare Board, or is it JWB, if I recall?
okay.
You look at that, see when they meet.
So I just have one comment, Councilmember Gannon, I'm excited that you're gonna be on this board, and I thank you for your service to do this. I think it's important that we move forward in this, and I really am thankful, and I look forward to hearing your results. All right,
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Item 16.
Need a vote. Need a vote.
Oh, yes, yes, thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to council comments. Item 16, and Councilmember Gannon, would you like to go first?
Sure, I was already, thank you all for your yes vote. I'm very pleased to, be appointed to that committee to continue to advocate for our city's residents. I think that's pretty clear that this is a very important issue. And transportation and safety in general, but this is a limited issue, school transportation, and I'm really looking forward to getting in touch with a lot of the mama bears in our community and the papa bears in our community who have, school-age children. It's kind of cool that on this council, for probably the first time, we have multiple members, the majority, that have school-age children. And so I feel like we can finally give this issue some of the attention that it has long deserved.
I agree.
I'm looking forward to the Little Mermaid Junior on Saturday. I'm sure a lot of us will be there. Fantastic event. I'm glad that we changed up the parking situation and that we're going to be shuttling people to address the concerns that were raised about visibility from people parking in the medians. I have no idea when that whole practice of just putting the sock over the no parking signs in the median was started, but it did get to a point where it was dangerous and it needed to be changed, and change is hard. People don't necessarily realize that you can park on city streets and it might happen to be in front of your home, but it's safer than the median alternative. And I'm glad that we're, investing the money to have some people shuttled from the library. I think that's really important. And I got lots of positive feedback about the fantastic turnout at the Easter egg extravaganza at RE Olds on Saturday. Great success and partnership with Bayside Community Church. Just fantastic event. I think it was great that the egg hunts were staggered by age group. I know there were some overzealous parents, and it's hard to not help. But congratulations to both organizations, the city and the church, for partnering in what was clearly a fantastic event and turnout. So thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. All right, Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. Tomorrow I have the next quarterly meeting for the Noise Abatement Task Force over at St. Pete Clearwater Airport. Still being held virtual, although I don't know if it's changed with the recent changes in mask mandates, so that remains to be seen. I would envision the next one may be back in person. A couple of things related to that. Just an email came out today, actually, in advance of the meeting, that typically when the airplanes are approaching from the north, flying over Oldsmar and or Safety Harbor, they always have to request the use of what's a specific type of approach called RNAV, which is when they do snake around Safety Harbor and then ultimately line up with the runway. They've now changed the policy to where it's that approval is automatically granted. So there was a few flights where just because of a lack of immediate communication, they didn't get that approval, so they went in for their straight shot instead. So that was one change that will essentially kind of provide more relief for the residents of Safety Harbor, I think, more so than us. Also, we got a report in that was more of like a semi-annual summary report that included highlights from the most recent noise study that was conducted relative to the airport. That was actually done back in 2007, so I don't have the actual report yet. I'm working on requesting that. But I do intend to inquire tomorrow, kind of how often are these studies required, or do they intend to do it? Because obviously people have concerns about it. So I will give some feedback on that on our next meeting. The second thing was this past weekend. Obviously, safety is an ever-growing concern among our residents for various reasons, and one that still keeps lingering and nagging is adolescents on bicycles. I had some of my family members have a run-in over the weekend on Lafayette. It was probably mid-afternoon. It was 15, 20 of them out there. So it seems to me that, and maybe this is probably part of a conversation when it comes to budgeting, as well as working with the sheriff's office is how do we potentially attack this from an not necessarily just that specific issue, but issues on a more broader scale from an enforcement perspective. Obviously, there's calming and other design features that can go out there, but I don't know if there's any traffic or design feature that will address kids doing wheeling. So, but I just figured I'd bring that up because I think that obviously there's many things that need to be addressed when it comes to safety in our city. Finally, last week we had this month's Leadership Pinellas Program Day. I'm not going to steal a little too much thunder from you, but we had North County Day, so we started over in Dunedin and went to Tarpon Springs. We got on the sponge diver boat, thanks to the mayor's idea of planning that part of the day. And then we finished over here in Oldsmar. We first went to Oldsmar and had a little hockey shootout for a dinner giveaway. And then we came over here to council chambers. Our lovely city manager gave a wonderful presentation that people were really thrilled about. And the rest of the day, they were like, man, I didn't know about that about Oldsmar. And even we had a social dinner over the weekend, and they were still talking about that presentation. So great job on that. And then we finished over at the zip line. Unfortunately, we only got to do one zip down and then a straight down belay, but there's already talk of returning for a full tour. So the city shined well amongst the Leadership Pinellas class of 2022. So, and they are doing active recruitment right now. So the time is near to apply if you're interested. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Council Member. All right, Vice Mayor, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Several events I went to recently. Festival of Bands. What an amazing event that was. Just to have that locally here. I didn't know that happened in the whole area. It was kind of new to me, but being the husband of an artist, it was really exciting to do that. The other thing was the Lou Gimgang event put on by the Oldsmar Historical Society. That was amazing. I was surprised to learn so much about how much he impacted the orange grove industry in this state, and that was just amazing. Thank you to Bayside Church for the Akon Extravaganza. The Easter Bunny, Breakfast with the Easter Bunny was great. The bike rodeo out here by the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce was a great event. Watching my former opponent, Doug Beavis, push my child around on a bike was pretty interesting to watch. Really excited about the play coming up this Saturday, Opal Theater with Under the Sea. So really excited about that. I know my girls are excited to go out and see that, and looking forward to the planning conference coming this Tuesday.
Wonderful. Councilmember Graber.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of the things I had to mention have been covered. Happy Earth Day on Friday, April 22nd. Bunch of different events that we had mentioned. I know Ann mentioned them earlier, but the annual recycling day on the 22nd, the tree giveaway on the 23rd. There's also the Hurricane Expo with Mike Boylan that's going to be at the Rec Center on the 27th from 5 to 8 p.m., so I'd encourage everybody to go there as well. We were able to spend Easter at my parents' house up near Jacksonville, and I just want to wish them a happy 52nd anniversary. Go Mom and Dad. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple things. I attended the Second Friday, the Chamber of Commerce Second Friday, and I have to say there's a big increase of classic cars, Jeeps, and sports cars starting to show up there. And they had to start parking in the grass over where the pizza place was. I mean, the cars were backed up all the way there. So that's really, and Vice Mayor, you were there. I mean, there was a lot of different types of cars. So I think that's really starting to take off for the chamber, and I think that's a good thing. Again, what Vice Mayor said about the Historical Society, Jerry Beaverland got a special award for saving Gimgang Road in Oldsmar. He told his story of how he saved that road back in 95. Is it 95? 94, 95, where the council voted it away. And then when he became mayor, he found a different road to bring that back. And the Florida Chinese Cultural Center, the Tampa Bay Chinese School, and the Chinese American History New York Foundation donated $1,000 to the Oldsmar Historical Society that day. So again, thank you, Vice Mayor, for showing up. President Marianne Cruz, Curator Jerry Antozzi, And as you guys walked down the hall this morning, you saw those posters. Paula put that all stuff together for that. The best thing I think that you left out was that the dancers, they had Chinese dancers from the School of Dance come, and they had like 5 different Chinese dance programs. It was really a thing, a pretty cool event for our city. Oldsmar Cup, Bam Bam Warrior was the winner, and 2 years in a row now, Paula's picked the winner, and it was great. We had a bunch of people down at the winner's circle for the picture of the Oldsmar Cup. Another successful day at the Tampa Bay Downs. It's really good that they're a partner of ours, and they appreciate us being out there for the day. And then Andrew already mentioned the Leadership Class North Day. I just want to mention one more thing. You forget being in Leadership Pinellas. You know, you get busy with life and you get involved with certain things, but I really enjoyed meeting your classmates. I became friends with a lot of them. I mean, we're friends on Facebook and texting, but you forget about how important Leadership Pinellas is in this community for leaders in Pinellas County. And it was a great day, and I was honored and privileged to be the chairman for that day. I heard a lot of people saying this was the best day ever. Unfortunately, my schedule was a little bit too overwhelming, overzealous, I guess is the right word. We had too many things going on and we ran out of time.
Oh,
so we
that's
did.
what you were alluding
Yeah,
to.
so we
Got
didn't-
back a little late.
Yeah, we got
on the bus.
We were supposed to be back at 5. We didn't get back till like I think 5:30. Wasn't it 1:45 almost?
Yeah.
At the happy hour, and people were waiting for us. So it was so overzealous is a good word. So that was a great day. I want to mention that. And then again, Tuesday, I want to thank Felicia Donnelly for all her hard work in this planning conference. Her and I have been strategizing, and I'm just so thankful. That's all I can say. I am really, really thankful for this planning conference. You've listened, and I think we're going to have a wonderful planning conference, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you on Tuesday. I have some good ideas, and I'm sure you do too, and I can't wait to hear them all. All right, that's the end of that. We're going to move on to item 17, approve tentative agenda for May 3rd, 2022. Does anybody wish to pull or add?
I wish to add.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that we had the vote on April 5th, I think as a council, we should consider pausing negotiations with Woodfield, directing the city manager to pause them, and requesting that an RFP be sent out to see what other developers can provide us with different options to consider. I think it's best to take a step back, take a beat, allow that process to be opened up for a fixed period, 30 days, 60 days. Felicia would be the better arbiter of that. However, pausing, I think, is likely in our best interest. So I'd like to add that to the agenda, work on the language of the motion, potentially with Felicia. However, the spirit of what I would like to discuss is pausing, directing the city manager to open up an RFP.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend the tentative agenda to add that discussion.
Okay, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. With that,
Now we need to approve the agenda. That was just to amend it.
oh,
We need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
okay, I need a motion to approve the motion as agended.
So moved.
So move, a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. With that, we made it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we don't need a vote?
Doesn't require a vote.
Here we go.